Hello everybody, welcome to the Foxhole bi-weekly dev stream. I am HB. I have to my left here Mark, one of the lead on this game, and one of the programmers, and a special guest.
Anthony, yeah, no. It's nice to finally be on the stream.
We know him as, can I say your name?
You can.
Okay, we know him as Max, but you guys probably know him as Crazy Flying Chicken, or the voice commanding a lot of armies. Either that. He's our community manager.
Hello.
Doing a lot of cool stuff for us and visiting us as we prepare for PAX. Right? So, very excited to have you here. How has been your week so far?
It's been really exciting. I started out on the wrong foot immediately. Found out that I took Matt's spot going to PAX, so you get to see me instead of Matt now.
Yep.
No, but it's been a really hectic. Adam's been going crazy trying to get everything ready for it. We've got some nice pins.
I don't know if you can see it at all, actually. It might not be visible.
And those just showed up today, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
Adam's been going to the store.
It was a close call. We almost didn't get them, actually.
Oh yeah, it was but they look really nice in my opinion, and we're glad to have them there.
Not focusing.
I hear a lot of.
Can I get it back? I feel naked with all my hat.
I hear a lot of people want pins.
Yeah, and it is a big thing. It is a big deal in PAX actually. Pins. They do have like a huge pin trading. We're not gonna be like an official pin seller or anything like that, like they do have in PAX for
I think they talked to us about it before. I think they came up to us like at one of the PAX.
Yeah, they did, but I think we would have to have them like a little bit prior than one day before PAX.
Yeah. That'd have to be like months in advance.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But if you guys want to check us out, talk to Crazy Flying Chicken, tag you in Discord or anywhere actually on Twitter, whatever, and he'll make sure that everybody get together. We're gonna try to see as many as you guys as we can, and just have fun with the community, because that's the fun part of it. And if you're just passing by, our booth number is gonna be 21,115. So 21,115 is the booth number, which is the weirdest way to say it, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, show up. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're coming to PAX at all, like message me on Discord any way you can. We have a small group of people, so we're going to be going around. I'll be everywhere. We're going to check out Boston. It'll be my first time in Boston too, so I know Casper and Goon Boone and a few others. We see Handsome Solid. I think he was #1 for the Warden's one on the first war. He'll be there, so come join us. We'll have dinner, drinks, whatever.
If you're of age, just saying.
If you're of age. if you're so inclined.
Yes. Otherwise you can drink juice. No, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. Somebody took my spot. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to be on Twitter all the time trying to screw with you guys on Twitter. Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Last 2 days, for some reason, everything landed on the same day. But
I know, like that
stream today,
update,
preparing for PAX, preparing for the update tomorrow, and probably like another 5 other things it's just been so crazy, right?
Yeah.
When is it not crazy?
Yeah, it seems like.
Why don't we come to a stream one day and be like, everything's under control,
like
everything's on schedule,
right?
But in all seriousness, though, I mean, I think that things are not going to get any less crazy, but I think that we kind of peaked with the World Conquest launch, and this is the follow-up update that's coming out tomorrow, hopefully, or this week. It sort of marks a little bit of the end of the craziness, at least at that level, and we're going to kind of like tone back and like focus on fixing some bugs that I want to talk more about later, and just like stabilizing the game a bit with what we got, because we just literally transformed the entire game, and it blows my mind that we're still all sitting here, everything, is working, everyone's alive, right? It blows my mind still, right? So yeah, from that perspective, we have the update to look forward to, and now that we have this new version of the game, we can look forward to a lot of cool stuff in the future.
I'm excited. We know it's the time for us to actually expand on the foundation that we have been saying.
Rather than worrying about this big change coming, which was what we were worried about for literally months. Now we have it, and we're finding things, right? So.
Oh, but with that in mind, let's go to actually check out on the community highlights snippets, because we didn't the last time, because the art contest, which was so cool to have, but because of the art contest, we didn't have a community highlights snippets. So, well, let's start.
Yeah, so this one is actually from 2 weeks ago. So because I haven't had a chance yet to go through the most recent 2 weeks, so some of this stuff will come from the art contest. But I know that a lot of you guys have put stuff into the Creative Stream plug stuff. Like we've been seeing it and linking it around, but I haven't had a chance to compile it into an actual post.
This is really awesome.
This is really cool, right?
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just had to say it. This is
so cool.
Man, I didn't even see this one. This is
no, yeah, this is amazing. It's in the latest. It is in the last community highlights. It's just this badass Warden scene. It's just like, I would like to believe that that's Callahan himself. But can we have a fact check on that, Matt? Yeah, he's saying no.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Callahan's at least 8 feet tall.
Yeah, right?
At least.
Isn't it? Yeah, I think this is just like a nice scene. Like it could easily have been in the art contest. It was not. But
No, this one was. This one was in the art contest,
Wait,
but
what?
it had like a banner on it.
oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
With all that, yeah. I think it was, but it's just a cool piece of art.
well, I like the artillery at the back.
We have a
I
cannon
like
that
it.
we don't have.
Well, I like it because we've always talked about when we're adding a new weapon or a new vehicle or a new structure, we want the tech. We would rather be on the older side than on than on the newer side, and I think that fits. Like I think seeing that cannon there, it's probably like pre 20th century, right? And that is more appropriate than seeing something in like the opposite direction, like some sort of a I don't know,
Laser guided turret.
or maybe even like a Cold War type of weapon would feel like really out of place, right? And you know, like we always say this, but I love seeing the art because it's like it's not just random like war art, right? It's a reflection of like the theme that's like specific to Foxhole, and you know, it's cool.
Yeah, like the tank. Like that looks just like the concept art that Julian drew up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's exactly spot on.
If I were to criticize this, there's a factual error. We don't have blue skies in our game.
Oh, right. Yeah,
There's nothing actually. World of Foxhole doesn't have skies. It's a weird universe.
Oh my god, Matt, is just face palming on the side. It's so beautiful.
Well, like Matt's, how many times has he said that he wants to put a sky in just because people are constantly taking these like photos, right? And we still haven't like, I don't know, are we ever gonna fix that?
I tried
At this
once.
point,
I tried
like-
once, but it takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
It's not something you can just like do overnight.
Well, I mean, are we either gonna, we should either fix that or fix the camera bug, right? It's the
Either
camera
or.
bug, right? So
It's gotta become a feature eventually.
yeah.
Next one. Oh, okay. I just added this one because I thought it was such a funny image. Who's it by again? Oh, Passionate Boy. It's just.
This is like an HB's pick type of art.
Yeah. Well, you give it to me. I pick the ones that I find funny, that I like. I thought it was awesome because it's the intent of the scrapper is very well portrayed in this picture.
When I see this, I'm immediately reminded of the contest winner, the Pickers one.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
it fits so perfect. Like we got them both for the same contest. I'm not sure if this one was in the contest.
And this one was for sure not for the contest.
Okay. But yeah, it was like it fit perfectly. Like you could put that right under the story, and it would fit.
Yeah. It's just, and it's, you know, nice action pose. I like it. The last one, this is pretty cool.
These are so cool.
This is actually a series of. This is not in the last community highlights, but it's probably gonna be on the next one. So this is like finally a sneak preview of the next one coming up. This is a series. There's, I don't know, 8 of them by now, I think. And there's just like doodles on a sketchbook of this soldier. and it's
So is there more than 2?
yeah, there's like 8 of them,
Oh,
and all of them are in this format of having been done in a sketchbook or something.
Yeah.
And they just like show scenes of life in Foxhole. Like there's a scene of like some guys as if you guys were posing for a drawing, like in front of a tank, and like all of them together, like trying. It's really neat, nicely done.
Yeah, this is like there's been a bunch of these in the past, and
like letters from the front.
Yeah,
letters from the front. I always love these, and I also like the newspaper ones too.
Oh yeah,
that's really true to the theme.
Every time that they try to insert themselves in I still remember the Radio Warden, which was one of my favorite things. It was just like it was one of our players. He would create this radio show, reading letters from like the front and playing music. And
I was actually playing in the first World Conquest War, and this guy came running up to me, and his name was Press Corps. And he came up, and he was in character fully.
Oh,
and
really?
He was running up to me, and he's like, "Oh, and here we have one of the soldiers from the front. What can I tell you, sir?" And he started asking me questions.
Yeah.
My in-game mic wasn't working, so I was just like standing there. But I watched the stream, and it's amazing. Check it out. It's Press Corps, I think, just twitch.tv/presscorps.
that's awesome. I'll make sure to put a link for that. Yeah, no. So I really enjoy whenever they insert themselves like into the lore, into like all the trappings of the whole game art in the art itself. It's just fantastic. Cool. I think that's it for community snippets. So as I said, it's gonna be posted later on.
Yep.
That was by
Freaker. Freak.
Yeah.
This community highlights. This coming one will be really late because I'm going to PAX, but you can probably expect it early next week.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess we'll talk about stuff that we're working on.
Yeah. What are we working on?
Well, there's a vehicle model to show, right?
Oh, should I announce it now?
No.
Okay.
This is something we're actually showing.
Okay.
I don't know if I even ran through these slides with you. I don't think I did this time. So maybe.
Oh, I know which one you're referring to.
So
yes.
Maybe some of this stuff will be a surprise to you guys.
Yeah.
Brand new vehicle, never discussed.
We're working on what?
Things are really hectic.
But
We're working on a skybox.
No. So I don't get too excited, but it's just a model. It's a faction specific model.
Oh yeah.
That we haven't shown. So it's not a new vehicle, but I think it's pretty cool. You guys probably have some idea of what it is. But
there's only so many.
There's only so many left because It's kind of funny because when we started it, we were like, oh, let's just do one, and maybe in like 2 years, like we'll get to all of them or something,
yeah.
Right? And somehow we found the time to do almost all of them. I think after this one, there's only one more left, but that one requires some other rethinking before we do it, right?
Oh,
but anyways, here
we're being so
is
cryptic.
the Warden motorcycle, which is pretty damn cool, I think.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. There's not much to say about a motorcycle, other than the fact that
it looks sweet.
When Anthony was working on it, I kept on like walking. I kept walking past his desk, and I kept staring at the screen because it was so cool. It's one of those things that stands out. And I don't know. I thought he did a good job on it, right?
No, I think he did a fantastic job. I already rigged this one, so it's in the game.
Wait, it's in the actual game?
Oh, it's rigged. I don't know if it is in the.
No, it's not.
Is it not coming in the update?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because no one. We didn't have time. I think that probably happened fairly recently, right?
Yeah, it happened right before Easter.
When I see this, it reminds me of Sapphire's jousting video, where we just need to enable bayonets in the sidecar.
That wouldn't be too hard. Actually, there would. Because it requires the whole rifle thing. No, that's hard.
Yeah.
You can put bayonets in the pistol. That's much easier.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see that in the next update, probably.
Not this one, the next one.
Yeah. We'll see. So
yeah.
Anything else to say about the Warden motorcycle?
It was fun to rig. It's it works. It's gonna work exactly like the Colonial one, but it's cool just having like a faction separation. We found out that when we included the first one was the tank, right?
First faction
specific vehicle. I think it was.
I think it was a tank.
Yeah, and having that was like a big deal because people would steal the tank and you would see them coming, and it was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
you can't do that with the motorcycle. People can see you on a motorcycle, but still, it's part of the lore. As long as it helps with gameplay and the RPG aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. So skirmish and supply drops. I talked about this already in the dev blog last week, but just wanted to talk a little bit more about it. So basically, this is our first part of making sure that skirmish is well integrated into the one world war. Because right now they don't really have too much impact other than on your final standing for each war. And we actually talked about a whole bunch of things, and we had to work really fast to actually even get this in there.
Mm-hmm.
And our first couple of ideas, which we're still probably going to follow through with, are much more involved, but we had to come up with the first version of it. So how it's going to work is at the end of your skirmish, you are going to get a supply drop that's based on the number of players that are currently on the team.
Yeah.
On the win condition, and there's like 5 possible win conditions right now for your side. And then it's going to take those 2 factors, and then it's going to calculate a supply drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for now, most of these items are going to be on the lower tier side, but you are going to be able to get stuff that is in the tech tree that is locked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start the war, you'll have access to some of these items, like some of the medical items, right? So it will help you get a little bit of a head start, right? And it will also just during the period prior to the conquest. This is sort of going to be like the preparation phase, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like stockpiling all your weapons and equipment to prepare for the conquest, right? So it's going to be pretty critical that players play the skirmish,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to count towards something, and if you end up not carrying, you're going to start the conquest stuff with a little bit of a disadvantage. And we've been very careful with the balance, because we don't want things to sway so far
That there's no
that there's no point, right? So if that's a concern, it's something that we've been very careful about, and we've also made the system in such a way that we can tweak the numbers on the fly.
Yeah.
So if things need to be adjusted after the first war, we can certainly do that. But really, we feel that we rather err on the side of making the skirmishes actually more significant than less significant first.
Yeah.
And then, that'll be more fun, right?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people, I heard a lot of feedback from skirmishes, particularly after we released the World Conquest, is that there's a lot of people that think, hey, the battles themselves are fun and interesting, because having these small, tight situations and scenarios are interesting, and that allows for different emergent gameplay, right?
Mm.
But the fact that they are quote-unquote worthless is what really kills it. So everybody's gonna play the real one, which is the World Conquest. And we always, internally at least, we never thought that one was the real game and the other one was an add-on. We always thought that the whole concept of you having these small battles that lead up to this huge war was the game.
Yeah.
So this really is us trying to integrate more and more.
Yeah.
And this first time will be a very good barometer for us to measure how does this sway, how much we can push this, what much more we can do. The first thing that we did was the monument, which technically there is an influence of you playing skirmish or not, getting a better monument. But now we can start pushing that and actually making part that is like, okay, what you do in skirmish influences the war.
And the perception that the conquest is the main part of the game, I think it's a fair one.
Yeah. For now,
that's how we sort of presented things thus far, and I don't blame anyone for kind of feeling that way. But it's our job to kind of bring these other aspects of the war up to the same level.
Yeah, if the skirmish is lacking, it's on us.
Right. And right now, it totally is lacking. So this is the first step, and we have some really cool ideas, like really cool. You know, there's some stuff that we've talked about we can't really talk about right now, but I'm so excited about. And I think it's not just the skirmish mode, but to the home regions themselves, right? And if you recall, when we first started talking about all this stuff, we talked about the supply drops, and we talked about things we want to do in the home region. And we're slowly doing all that stuff, right? So I think this is cool.
I think the supply drops, they have the potential to have such a bigger impact that you guys even imagine right now, of the first implementation, of course. But I think there's pretty cool things to come. I think we're on the same page that there's more to come.
It's not just the supply drops. There's going to be a lot. Why don't you think of it this way? The supply drops is just the first of many things that we want to do. So
I think it's pretty clear also that the player base hasn't fully adopted the skirmishes yet, because neither side has gotten the platinum monument.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it was a really concerted effort, one team could have like pushed that, but it was because like it's split now. Both times when the Wardens won, the Colonials won the skirmish, and the Colonials won, the Wardens won the skirmish. So
perhaps there should be a prize for winning the platinum trophy. I'm just kidding.
Neutrals.
Cool. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about like the things that are on our mind, and this this changes slightly every time we kind of talk about what are our top priorities or like the roadmap in near term. And I just wanted to go through this quickly. As I said at the beginning, fixing bugs is like a high priority right now, because we changed so much in the game over the last couple of months, and one of the bad sides to that is that the bug list has been growing pretty much like
consistently.
Every time it's been growing more than it's shrinking, right? So we made an effort at the last minute for 0.11 to knock off a few more bugs that have been really bothering you guys. Like I think the gun turret shooting through the wall bug, which was pretty terrible. We knocked that off just yesterday, right? And some of the towns, some of the non-win condition towns going to the 3rd tier, we also knocked that one off. And there's like there's a couple of ones that came at the last minute, and there are people on the team that are concerned about the bugs, and they're always like pushing somebody to get those bugs fixed. It's more than you, Max. You're saying, right? People bother me about like so many different things on the project, and it's good because different people are like caring about like different things. Like some people care so much about like the user experience. Some people care a lot about the bugs. Some people care a lot about I don't know, whatever, right? But it's like trying to like balance all that is kind of hard, because you want to do everything at once constantly. Like you're like, there's always this feeling like everything is important, right? And the main challenge usually is like, okay, it seems like everyone's important, and that everything is important because everyone is like shouting about everything, but what is the one thing that matters the most, right? And I think in the last couple of months, getting the transition to World Conquest was the most important thing. And if we had to sacrifice a little bit on some of these other areas, that's what needed to be done. Now that it's done, though,
now we can focus
we gotta start taking care of some of these other areas, and we just can't be like, okay, well, there's so many bugs. Let's just, there's a lot of other games out there. I'm not gonna name any names, but they don't do a great job at this, and there is a danger that we can fall into that same section of games, right? But we don't want to do that, so we're probably gonna spend some pretty good time over the next week or two in just focusing on bugs.
Absolutely.
We're hopefully getting some help soon, right?
Yes.
So we're still hiring for the company.
Yeah.
We will be getting somebody to do QA for us. But if you're still interested, if you have an interest in working for us, if you're a developer, an artist, have interest in QA, do send us emails, like check foxholegame.com/jobs and see the listing, because we just hired another person, and we're still, the company is growing, which is great because you guys are making the game a success.
Cool.
Simple as that, man.
And yeah, to get back to the list, player profiles and monuments. So again, we have like the bare minimum thing there, and we said before the last update that that we would be focusing on this stuff because our goal is to make these wars feel as significant as possible. And I kind of talked about this a bit, but going back to the weekly wars of the old days, I really feel like capturing a little bit of that spirit is going to be good. Like basically the community, the base of the community entirely grew from that.
Yeah.
I would say it went from like literally no one, like 5 people playing the game, to like a few thousand people playing the game throughout that entire period, right? And it's, I think people cared about the wars, and that's why I think there was like literally a 4 or 5 month straight streak where the weekly wars would get larger and larger every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people cared, and we cared. We generated a war report after each war, and it was really awesome. People would have all these stories. There were like the war report videos that you made, Max, which were really cool. And I think that that's, we want to not only recapture some of that spirit, but we want to like build on it, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that, you know, I've always said this, and I'll say it a million times, that for us, Foxhole is about making war stories, right? And we're hoping that with player profiles and monuments, we can try to capture some of that. And with the player profiles, I'm saying like, you know, you guys have been asking for a long time about seeing like a record of things that you've done, and being able to look back and sort of see your record over the last year, right? Like, what have you done in Foxhole? And that reinforces the idea that the wars actually matter,
mm-hmm.
right? So that's something we're looking into. Skirmish and home region integration, we talked about that just now with the supply drops, and there's more stuff that is coming there. We basically want the home regions to be utilized more, right?
Mm-hmm.
More along the lines of what we were talking about at the beginning. And then we have the communication tools. We've been talking about that for a very long time. That was pushed back. We probably wanted to have some of that stuff done by now, but we're pretty terrible at like our schedules. We always fall behind schedule.
Well, and some things did come up. Like for instance, right now, when we did the World Conquest from 0.10, we thought, okay, now we can focus on player profiles and monuments and communication tools. We talked about that, but then it became obvious as the update continued that, wow, the skirmishes are not being relevant, and that is in many ways it was way more important, way more how to say, dangerous to us for the game in general to keep it that way. So we decided to shift things around. And when we talked about communication tools a long time ago.
Yeah,
that was postponed, but it's not forgotten. Yeah,
no, for sure. I think I'll be the first to say we're not the best with scheduling. I think some of that comes from that comes from like the earlier days when we changed the game so fast
every week, and
sometimes like I still think that way sometimes, right? We sometimes think that way still, which is not good because the game has gotten so much larger that we definitely cannot change the game as fast as we used to, right? But we're still doing everything that we said we're gonna do. It just everything's taking longer. And then there's the town revamps. At some point, we want to go back and revamp the towns. And then also just like there is more content. I know we haven't shown anything off recently, but trust me, there's a lot of new content that's coming. Yeah.
Speaking of which, should I say it now?
Oh yeah.
Is that the last one? Is that the last slide on the place?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So speaking of new content, there will be a new vehicle shown. Not the motorcycle. It's a completely new vehicle with different functionalities. But here's the thing: just like we did with the tank ages ago. There's gonna be a little bit. One of the sides will be the one that will find out what it looks like first. So the winner of the next World Conquest will have their new vehicle revealed first.
Maybe we should mix it up and be like the winner of the next skirmishes. Alright, we'll leave it at the conquest.
Let's leave it at the conquest, otherwise it's gonna
Maybe there'll be a sub prize for the skirmish winner.
You get the drawing of a lollipop.
Undying gratitude.
So yeah, whoever wins the next World Conquest, the vehicle will be unveiled first.
For that faction.
For that faction, yeah, because they are faction specific as well. And I'm not gonna say anything more. That's it.
Cool.
The winner gets to see it.
Yeah.
Not implementation.
Right.
Coming tomorrow.
Yes.
So, updates coming tomorrow-ish, right? But if you've known us for long enough, if there's a show-stopping issue at the last minute, then it will be pushed. But we're shooting for tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
And we'll keep you guys updated. We'll keep you guys updated on when all that stuff's happening, right? And
So this is like my first time coming into the office, and like I come in and it's like the whole time that I'm here, it's like testing, and they're getting ready for this point 11 update.
yeah,
and it's like the whole office gets mobilized. Like the art department gets conscripted, and it's really interesting. That I got my own table now. I got my own office.
I mean, like you did have your own office, and then you decided to move out there. But but that is something that we're changing a bit because the way that we do our testing isn't scaling very well with the size of the project. So what you're seeing right now, we're hopefully going to make it less crazy in the future, right? This is how we've done things for like since a year and a half ago. Although it has gotten better, I think we used to like do really insane, especially in the pre-alpha days. We would be like literally starting testing in some really bad cases on the same day as our launch.
Oh god.
We would literally be like shoving in features on like Friday morning and then be like, okay, we'll just test a couple things.
No, hold on the build for 5 more minutes so I can push this feature in.
So I can push the feature in, and then the weekly world will happen on Saturday. And every time it worked, we're like, what? That actually worked? Like, it didn't blow up in our face. I mean, sometimes maybe it did, but
we got better at least.
We got way better. It went from that to like us starting the dev branches like 3-4 days earlier, and then starting the testing process like a few days earlier.
Now the dev branches come out at, like the week prior, and then like you guys help a lot finding bugs when you go to the dev branch, which allows us to fix them during this week, and then we can have an update.
And I think moving forward, that process is going to change even more.
Particularly having somebody doing QA like 100% of the time would be fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
We're moving to the QA now, a QA portion of the stream. Since we have Crazy Flying Chicken in here, feel free to also ask him whatever you want. He has like
no, please.
No.
We might not answer.
Leave the questions in the chat or ask questions for. Don't send your questions to KFC.
No, send the questions to the chat. And Matt is
Send it all to KFC.
No. Matt is forwarding all the questions to KFC, so because he's like dealing with the stream right now. But you guys can ask KFC specific questions. That's what I meant. He has a different view on everything.
I have the inside scoop.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question from Colonel Viper. Have you considered making scrapping more fun? I don't know what he's talking about.
Yes, we have.
For example, scrapyards might be replaced by some sort of machine which requires a lot of maintenance. So miners will become mechanics, and they will be required to maintain these machines all over the map.
How long have you been hearing that suggestion for, Max? Like literally the first day that you joined the game?
No, when I first joined the game, the scrap spawned in a box. So those were the days, right? Can we have that back? That would be great.
No scrapping at all. No one's gonna hate that, right?
No, not at all. Not all the logic players. Scrapping has been a contentious point in the development, just to put it mildly.
Yeah.
We actually discuss a lot about what can we do and what are the next steps on making the logic part more interesting.
So
At some point, somebody brought the idea of having mini games for scrapping, but I think we gave up on that.
Yeah, we shut that down after. But I think that when we were talking about the one world changes, we were heavily considering changing the whole scrapping mechanic as well, but that was cut because so much stuff was changing at once, and we decided let's not anything that doesn't need to change. Maybe we shouldn't change it yet, right?
Not on a big update like that, in which the whole parts of the gameplay were already changed.
But there is still something. There is one very specific way that we have on the table, like one solution that has been stewing for a very long time, and we as a team have talked about it like a few times, but it's not something that we want to talk about yet. But I said this before on a chat or a roundtable or something, and a lot of people were not very happy about it. But the actual act of like scrapping it itself, just completely taking it on its own, is not necessarily a core aspect of the game, right? And I know some of you might not like hearing about that. But the core aspect of the game is taking the resources and moving along a supply line. That's like the key part, right? But we do recognize that the act of scrapping does bring some things to the table, right? Like it's not, like you're it's like a tactile action, right? And that can be fun, and we understand that type of grind could have a place, right? But I know I'm being really vague, but I think that there's a good chance that the whole mechanic will change this year at some point. So
asterisk.
That's all I'm gonna say about it for now. That's it.
I got one from Edge Obscura. Are there any intentions to counter/replace/slow down the decay of defense structures?
Yeah, so I've talked about this a lot, and we understand it sucks. For now, we are definitely looking into it. I explained it a couple of times, but I want to be very clear about it because it might be confusing. A lot of players thinking, oh, like why do we have to have this, right? But just in terms of the pure numbers, it takes about less than a minute to build a foxhole, but 48 hours for it to be gone. So just by those numbers alone, it's like unbounded growth. And if we didn't have any decay at all, then the server will eventually break down, like it'll run out of memory. Just like, it's just a fact, like it's just a scientific fact. Like it's just,
you keep adding more.
You keep adding, it's just gonna add, right? So that's the technical reason why that's there, so that we can continue having like the players that we have on the server without a whole bunch of lag. I think you guys maybe saw a preview of how bad it could be in the Fahrenheit Coast days, when there was one Fahrenheit Coast instance where the decay was very slow back then, and it wasn't applied to everything either. It was only applied to a few structures, and after a week, it was like 300 millisecond of lag for even the like fastest connections, right? So that explains that part. Now, having said that, I think there are ways that we can work around it, right? We have talked about some solutions, so it's not like that's it and we're never going to fix it. But I think, again, now I said that we're past this hump of world conquest, we can start thinking about that now, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is one I wanted to talk about a little bit, but sure. I lost it. Turtle and Rabbit asks, when are medium and heavy tanks, when medium and heavy tanks are released, where can we expect them in the tech tree? The current light tank is at the very end, so will it be moved forward, or will all the tanks follow each other up? The tech tree right now, it's subject to change. We've talked about that at length. We were happy with where it's not making us thrilled to have a pretty linear tech tree. We want to make it more exciting, but right now it's serving its purpose. And when we start to implement things like that, then hopefully we can make it more exciting.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so it's definitely not set in stone.
Yeah, you also have to consider that at that point, there's much more likely that there will be way more items in Tech Tree just in general, so there will be more diversity that we can play around.
So there's a fun fact. There's another tank that we have already like designed. I'm not gonna talk about it, but,
well, you can't not talk about it.
I just looked at it like yesterday or something, and it was really cool. I'm so excited about it, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, this is an important one because I've been hearing about this one like all week. Why is there so much downtime between wars? And can we have more? And can we have more downtime between wars? So I think he wants to know more about the downtime between.
Well, first of all,
this one came from a lot of different people.
Yeah. Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, well, go for it. Yeah.
Send me all the hard questions. No, this is it's a good point. So I guess before I talk about why, I guess I'll talk about what it will be like in the foreseeable future. So the 1 week wait roughly is not going to be the norm for the next while. Probably in the next 2 months, 3 months or so. It'll probably be more like 3 days, 2-3 days, roughly of wait in between the conquest. So just to kind of get that settled, right? So it's not going to be like a whole week every time. Unless it's a special case, right? Hopefully there won't be too many of those. But there's a couple of reasons why there is a wait. Because the first one is that we don't want them to just, fighting one war is a whole lot of effort. And as soon as it ends, if we start the next one right away, that would suck. Like it would completely invalidate all the hard work that was put into winning the war. It's like, what? After all this week, it meant nothing because there's a new one, right? So there needs to be a moment of celebration, and we want the wars to be significant. Just like what I said about the weekly wars earlier, right? We would rather value that more than just having a game that is always available for players to play, which actually it sounds bad, and maybe we might lose a couple of people because of that, but I believe in the long run this will keep the game in a healthier state, right? And we've learned this already. When the campaigns were just running like one after another, how many threads on Reddit were like, well, it doesn't matter, I just play it and it's just the same thing over and over again, and then after a couple of wars it doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yeah, I think that's really the main point for a lot of people. We got right after the One World Conquest update, a lot of the newer players haven't experienced what the previous version was, and in the previous version there was no wait. It was like the moment one campaign ended, the next one started, and it was, for a lot of us, it felt like, what was the point of it all? We don't see it. Like, why continue into the next campaign? We've already won this one, and there was no meaningful disconnect between one campaign and the next. So putting in that period of time where we have another, while we have Skirmish going on and the supply drops, it's sort of like a ramping up period, right? Where people can become getting invested without actually spending 7 hours doing an operation. They can spend 3 hours doing a skirmish, and then slowly build it up, and then when the campaign, when the war finally starts, it feels like exciting.
Well, not only setting up, but also gloating, because if we continue, and we will continue with working with the whole monuments and having a history of all the past wars, you having this downtime to actually understand what happened prior and how to study for the next one, which might tie in with how you deal with these skirmishes, what kind of skirmishes do you get, what are the supply drops that you get for the new one are important, so you can strategize for the next war. If it just starts right away, you don't even have downtime to even stop and think about it.
It's a moment to stop and think, right? To stop and reflect. And I think that when we start to add more to the war reports that show up on the monuments, then it's going to be even more important. You can stop and look at the stats and oh, this is cool. This is what happened. people could talk about the stories, right? But how can you talk about a story when the next one's already started? You're like, hey, look, all this cool stuff. Oh, wait, never mind. Let's just go off and like fight the new one, right?
Yeah.
So,
that being said, though, we understand that this is a game that you're making, so those downtimes have to be interesting, and that's why another reason why we're focusing on the skirmishes and making sure they are meaningful as well, because they should be entertaining.
Okay, so I've got another question here. This one's been asked again by several people. They want to know more about the half-track and tank spam, as it seems to be a big concern. Like, how are we going to tackle, like, at the end of the game, where there seems to be, like, the major pushes are made up of, like, 15 tanks and like, 10 half-tracks, and they've got whole banks of them in the back line.
the blueprint times are going to get longer. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jeez.
I'm totally kidding.
Well, is that
I mean, it seems like they're too short now. I'm just joking.
No, but is that a problem? Is that really a problem if you think about it? Because I said it once before, like, I don't know, a few months ago, everybody made fun of me that games have metas. And like Foxhole, believe it or not, also has a meta. And people say, oh, half tracks and tanks are in vogue right now. They are powerful, we understand that. And we can change like small balances, like we can balance it out, make sure that there's no winning strategy, no one winning strategy. But I think that if you know that you're gonna be attacked by this, then you have to build something that is against that, and then the meta continues to evolve. Like it or not, we only had 2 wars. Like, that's not a huge amount of points to make statistics out of it. And I am sure that the big clans, they are looking into that to see how they can prevent when they're being attacked with tanks and half tracks. So I'm always concerned when we make like a snap decision, say, oh, tanks and half tracks are the thing that are destroying the end game now. Maybe they did in one war, but I'm sure you guys are capable. And of course, we'll keep an eye on the statistics of the real statistics of the game to see if there is a winning condition or not. But
and to add on to that, like, yes, like we want to make sure that we're not going to make like these snap decisions, but on the other side of that coin, we actually can just flip the switch and be like, okay, well, tanks are too strong, boom, now they're not. But we want to make sure that we're making those choices thoughtfully. And right now, with the way that half tracks and tanks are, you can spam them, sure, but at least it's at an end game level, right? Like, it's not like you're spamming tanks halfway through the tech tree and the game is ending. Right. By the time you get to tanks, the game ends. So
something we are doing is that we're rebalancing the pacing of the tech tree, so it takes longer for the tanks to come. So if this is an issue, it won't be showing up as fast. So that's already a tweak, right? So and then the only other thing I have to say about that is, wasn't everyone saying that like they weren't seeing tanks ever? So that problem is fixed, guys. I just want to let you guys know that we fixed that. We fixed that stuff. So.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one might need a little bit more clarification, but we got from Matra Bonobo. Are you going to re-implement the old Conquest map?
You mean one-off Conquest map?
No, I mean like this is suggesting like from the old campaign.
So the concept of having one after another, is that what you're asking?
I think they mean like bring back the old campaign.
So what I'm saying is that bringing back the old campaign, which for the people that don't know, the old campaign was basically what the Conquest is, in which you have to conquer all the territories, but instead of fighting on all the 9 territories, the 9 regions right away, like as a whole, you would fight one after another, and then if whatever was the territory that was taken by the other team, like your team would have to take all of them in sequence to be able to win campaign. Are we gonna bring that back?
No. Yeah, no, we definitely aren't. World Conquest and Skirmish and home regions are the future, and we always. It's a danger to support too many modes. It's a danger to support too many things, and because then things become like watered down, right?
It's harder for us in a technical aspect to support many modes, and also it divides the player base quite a lot.
Yeah.
if you have like two big modes like this.
And I think the most important thing though is that for us, we've always wanted as much as possible, and this might not always be possible, but we want everyone to be part of the same war, right? Even if it's has to be like abstracted in some ways with like skirmish and stuff like that. The idea is that we always want people part of the same war, and like Conquest does that so much better than the campaign, so it's a no-brainer, right? We're not going back to that.
That being said, we're always open for events and special events. So let's say you and a bunch of players, a bunch of like of the clans, they decide, hey, we will have this event that we have in mind, and in order for this event to run, we want it to be like one map after another, and that's like a one-off special thing. We're always open for that kind of thing, and we can talk about that.
I do think it's worth mentioning that the maps don't exactly play the same way.
Yeah. What Matt is saying is that it's worth mentioning that the maps don't exactly play the same way as they did during the campaign. So, can we have a campaign back? No. Is there any possible way that, oh, I want to do this one cool thing with 500 of my friends? Yeah, let's talk. Let's see if we can maybe reproduce that one time as a special event. It's possible. It's nothing. We like doing events with the community.
Yeah, just message HP.
Oh, and now I'll refer to the community manager.
So yeah, you can message me. I'm Crazy Flying Chicken. You can message me if you want to create event servers. If you wanted to get your event out and known by people, you can let me know. With the question about the half tracks and tanks, like your suggestions, like you can just DM them to me, but like let's have a conversation about them. We're oftentimes having roundtables. Mark is having roundtables sometimes on the Discord. So if you hang around on the Discord, you'll see us, and you can just talk to us about them. And the more that we hear about these complaints, the more time you bring up your events, the more we are inclined to support it. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So we're big fans of a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, everybody messages me every morning, so yeah, I'm used to it by now.
That nervous laughter.
Oh, I'm asking more people. Next one?
Cool.
Okay, so this one comes from Psychon. This one's really important to me. When will Naval become cross maps?
Yeah, that's a good question. Naval needs work, and there's only like a certain amount of stuff we can focus on at once. And right now, I'll be the first to say that Naval is not in that good of a shape. Functionally it works, right? It's there, but it's missing features like being able to travel between the regions, and the maps don't really lend themselves, in the Conquest at least, to make it worthwhile to go Naval, right? So it's something we have to come back around and work on, but we're not leaving it behind. Like, it's gonna get worked on at some point, but we kind of wanted to, like, I think for some of the context around this, last fall we ended up spending a lot of time on it, and some aspects of Naval we were more successful than others, but we realized that that's not the most important part of the game, right? World Conquest and getting that back into action was way more important. So we kind of put some of that work on hold, but we're going to come back to it, right? That's kind of the best answer I can give. We have a lot of cool ideas on extending the Naval aspect of the game into more vehicles and more things there. Maybe some tie-ins with the home region in the future. Yeah, has a place, just not right now.
I see. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be our last question.
Okay, this one comes from Stranger Days. What are the intentions of Skirmish?
It's a very good question, right? So our goal really, we were just talking about this yesterday actually, and I think the ultimate goal is to make them feel like they're part of the one world, right? That they like integrate very well, and they don't, like right now they do feel very much like these separate, like disconnected things, and obviously with the supply drops. It's going to help a little bit with that, but our ultimate goal is to not make it feel like I'm going off into this whole other universe now, fighting a war or fighting like a battle there, and then now I'm go back to like the other universe, right? But to make them all part of like the same universe, and that means that not only in the gameplay, but also in the progression. Our goal is to like share the progression in the One World War with Skirmish, right? So that the skirmishes perhaps that you're fighting at the beginning are not the same as the skirmishes that you're fighting at the end. It's really important that our number one goal, like I said, is to try to make everyone feel like they're part of the same war, and that this is like our sort of vision for a One World War is that, you know, you start off with the skirmishes, there is a build-up of sorts in the home region, in the skirmishes, and then the conquest hits at the end, and that's sort of like the climax of that war, and then it kind of like restarts after that. So that's our goal, right? Make it feel like it's part of the one world, right? So anything you guys want to add to that?
No, that's perfect.
Cool.
And make them fun. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Max, for coming all the way from the west.
Just to be on this Devstream.
Just to be on this Devstream, nothing to do. To PAX that we will be on. Booth 21115. This weekend. That's from
actually starts Thursday.
Yeah, 5th to April 5th to 8th. If you're watching this on YouTube, please check us on Twitch every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 2 p.m. EST.
Yeah.
The link's gonna be here or here, whatever is there space on the screen when I edit it.
Yeah. There's
What
one
else?
last thing.
What else? Yes.
So stay tuned for the update. 011 hopefully will drop tomorrow. And
Tomorrow, Wednesday.
yeah, and I don't want to make any promises, so don't don't say that Mark said this, right? But we're trying to move the conquest start time to sooner than Friday. But again, we will let you know. Right?
Yeah, you guys asked for.
Yeah.
You guys were asking why there's so much time. We're trying to push it back. Very candidly, I'll say if we don't push it back, like I know the start time of the conquest is supposed to be on Friday. If we don't push it back, it's because we had to push back because of the update. Something went unexpected.
Right.
We're gonna try, if everything goes according to plan, update on Wednesday.
But if we do push it forward, we'll let you know like a day in advance at least 24-hour notice, so that we don't just. It started now, actually.
Okay, here we go.
No, we'll make sure to let you guys know. Right?
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you guys.